Bookworm Fly News.
What is it, you guys? It's your boy Bookworm Fly, and we're back at it again with another war update video. In today's video, we are going to be reacting to Putin telling the British to back off. And we are going to be reacting to this news from Wion. Put the link in the description. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Our top story tonight on Gravitas is about Russia. Days ago, when Russia fired its new experimental hypersonic missile into Ukraine for the first time, President Putin also issued a warning to Ukraine's backers. He told them to back off. And by them, I mean Britain. He warned that the weapon which has struck Ukraine is designed for a decisive strike on them. Putin may not have spelled out Britain's name specifically, but he clearly meant attacks on the US and the UK. We'll tell you why. Let's start off with the latest updates first. According to reports, a British man has been captured by Russian forces while fighting for Ukraine. In a video circulating online, which we cannot show you, a man dressed in military clothing identifies himself as James Scott Anderson. He says he formerly served in the British Army. In fact, Russian state news agency TASS reported a military source calling him a UK mercenary that had been taken prisoner in the Kursk area of Russia.
So, it's either confirmed that it was a UK soldier, or it's not, but they still don't know. But apparently, it might be true. It might be true. Who knows?
The Russian region, where Ukraine has held territory since launching a surprise offensive in August, or at least claims to have held territory, the British Foreign Office has said that it is supporting the family of a British man following reports of his detention in Russia. In fact, Anderson's father has told media outlets in Britain that he had begged him not to go to Ukraine. According to his father, reportedly, Anderson still went to Ukraine because he thought...
So it's confirmed then, it's confirmed.
...he was doing what was right. In the video, which was first posted on the messaging app Telegram, Anderson tells a man questioning him from behind a camera that he served as a private in the British Army. He says that he joined Ukraine's International Legion, which is a military unit basically made up of foreign volunteers, after losing his job and seeing reports on television about the war. Anderson was captured from Kursk, where Russia has moved about 50,000 of its troops along with North Korean soldiers, reportedly. And Russia has started taking back parts of Kursk, with Ukraine starting to take a beating. The way things stand today, Ukraine has lost...
So it's true then. There was a UK soldier that got caught. But like, it's a UK mercenary. So yeah, mercenary means you're not like associated with any country, you know, because mercenary means they pretty much, you know, like, yeah, you know. Anyways, let's continue.
With Ukraine starting to take a beating. The way things stand today, Ukraine has lost over 40% of the territory it captured. Russian forces have mounted waves of counter-assaults. According to news agency Reuters, in fact, Ukraine's hold on Kursk region has been cut to 800 square kilometers, from 1,376 at the start of the incursion in the month of August. But you see, Ukraine is not just taking a beating in Kursk. At home, it is struggling to keep hold as its front lines continue to crumble. Russian forces have reportedly made threatening advance in East Ukraine's Donetsk region. And as a result, Ukraine is trying to disrupt Russian supply lines with strikes deep inside Russia. How are they doing it? No points for guessing. Through long-range strikes enabled by the easing of curbs on the use of Western-supplied missiles. But here's the thing. Putin was not lying when he said that there was no counter for Russia's hypersonic missiles following Ukraine's firing of British-made long-range Storm Shadow missiles at military targets inside Russia. Russia responded by firing missiles and drones, including the new Oreshnik hypersonic missile at the Dnipro. Ukraine claims to have intercepted some of the missiles, but the effort is proving expensive, to say the least. Ukraine had to use 32 Patriot missiles to counter Russia's hypersonic threats. Ukraine's use of British Shadow missiles against Russia has escalated tensions, making the UK, along with the US, legitimate targets for Russia. And following the firing of the Oreshnik missile, which was initially mistaken for an ICBM, remember, by Ukraine, Putin issued a warning and boasted about the situation. I'm quoting, "I recommend that the ruling elites of those countries that are hashing plans to use their military contingents against Russia seriously think about this." Now, if there was any doubt about who that was meant for, here's more proof. Take a look at these visuals coming up on your screen. Russia's Oreshnik is actually one of its most dangerous weapons. CCTV footage captured on the day of the attack, that is November 21, showing multiple bright flashes raining down from the sky in Ukraine's Dnipro. It shows that Oreshnik appears to have multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, which means that it has separate warheads able to hit different targets. You know what that means? It basically means that Oreshnik has enormous destructive power. As time has passed and experts have had the opportunity to study things further, they have categorized Oreshnik as an experimental hybrid missile, a missile that sits in a category between intercontinental and intermediate range, which means that it has a range of around 3,000 miles. That range means that the missile can easily strike Britain. Concur with Putin, no modern air defense systems in the world, including missile defense systems created by Americans in Europe, can intercept such Russian missiles. Clearly, Russia was not looking to make a military point. Russia meant to simply make a political point, a message to the world. Russia can hit almost any target in Europe and the UK. Meanwhile, the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has rejected any suggestion that the UK is at war with Russia. He has only underscored UK's unwavering support for Ukraine, saying that Putin cannot be allowed to win this war. But the question is no longer about the UK's or the NATO's commitment towards Ukraine, you see. The question is about how prepared the UK is, or how prepared the NATO is, to actually sustain an attack from Russia if Putin is pushed to fire an Oreshnik missile, or maybe something stronger than that. The bottom line is that as it stands right now, Ukraine supporters, the countries that push this war on Ukraine in a way, are involved in a limitless, asymmetrical war with Russia. Putin has already relaxed Russia's nuclear doctrine, which now hypothetically allows Russia to use nuclear weapons against a non-nuclear armed state like Ukraine. Remember, nuclear warnings are no longer just a tactic to deter NATO. It's no longer a strategy to intimidate the West. It has become a very real possibility. As for the question of whether Putin would actually push the world into a nuclear war, realistically, it does not seem likely. However, Putin does have another nuclear option available, targeting Ukraine's nuclear power plants. Last week, in fact, Greenpeace warned that Ukraine's power network is at a heightened risk of catastrophic failure. Russian airstrikes have aimed at Ukraine's electricity substations. The safety of Ukraine's 3 operational nuclear power plants is now in danger. And if the reactors lost power, they could be...
So everything just went haywire when they when they gave permission for the long-range missiles. Like Russia they just went crazy with it. Oh boy.
Basically, quickly become unstable. And what happens then, you ask? No points for guessing. Radiation leak. Even a second Chernobyl-like situation. Remember, in 1986, Ukraine was the site of the world's worst nuclear disaster. In fact, on Sunday, US nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, reported that main power lines from substations to the 3 nuclear power stations had been cut. The 3 plants, by the way, account for about 2/3 of Ukraine's electricity. And as a result, Ukraine has been facing a harsh, powerless winter. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians are spending up to 6 hours at a time in the dark, without heat, without light, and without running water. But Ukraine is freezing not just because of Russian strikes, but also because of corruption. Reports indicating that government corruption in Ukraine has stalled a secret project to protect the energy grid. According to The Times, Britain is secretly assisting Ukraine in constructing a concrete structure to safeguard its energy grid. In June this year, Mustafa Nayem, head of an agency responsible for protecting critical infrastructure in Ukraine, resigned, citing government failures. Nayem alleged that there were deliberate delays in funding for a $1.4 billion bunker project.
So corruption is that's in like every country. You gotta be careful with those corruptions, man.
At substations, he claimed that bribes were not paid to officials, leading to project halts. His replacement, Sergei Sukhomlin, indicated that contractors were seeking excessive profits and that contracts were being renegotiated to cut costs. Meanwhile, contractors are struggling to continue work due to the lack of government funds and have had to take out loans. Which then brings us back to the core issue as far as Ukraine is concerned: corruption. It remains a big barrier to Ukraine's accession into the European Union, after all. As a result, now Ukraine relies on basic protective measures. Advanced systems are provided by its Western partners. But as long as corruption remains a problem in Ukraine, forget about Russia, Ukraine will remain its own worst enemy.
So you heard it there, folks. Ukraine is worst enemy because of corruption. Wow. Anyways, guys, that's it. That's all we have for today. We're just reacting to some wion news. You guys want to check them out, I'll put their link in the description. So without further ado, you guys enjoy the rest of y'all week. I'm out of here.
Thank you.
Goodbye.